Hi, this is Sharon from craftyandcreativeideas.blogspot.com, and I'm here to bring you another one of my Wow That's Cool videos. This one is for my Always Thinking of You painter's tape card. I am not going to totally construct this card in detail. All that stuff is on my blog, but I do want to show you how to do the technique and just the basics of what I did do with the card itself. And the matching envelope. So we're going to get started here. The first thing I did was I actually cut a piece of cardstock, and I had done early espresso. The base of the card is the 8.5 by 5.5 card base, and I scored it at 5 1/4. My next layer is done with soft sky, and that layer is 4 by 5 1/4. And the top layer is Whisper White, and that is at 3 3/4 by 5 inches. The inks that I used on this are going to be the matching inks from the Soft Sky, Sahara Sand, and Wisteria Wonder are the three stamps that I'm using on this. What I did was I started out with my Whisper White paper, and I had marked from the top. I took a very slight little mark with a pencil. I measured 7/8 of an inch on my ruler, which is right there, and I made a very small mark on my paper, and then I measured down to the 2-inch mark, and I made a very small mark there. Then I went to the bottom edge of my paper and once again measured up 7/8 of an inch at that part also. So now what I did was I took regular Scotch 3M tape, and this is the 1-inch tape. Alright, and we're going to take my Sahara Sand first, that color. I took that and took a piece of tape, and you want to put a piece of scrap paper underneath your work area so you don't get ink on your table or whatever. But anyways, I took the piece of tape and I lay it down onto the pad and just kind of rub. Just kind of inking the surface. Now, the lighter you go, the more translucent it will look on your paper. I have one that is a little lighter touch, and then this one is a little more solid touch. So you just kind of rub it onto here, move it down so you get this pretty well inked up. And then just check the bottom of it to make sure you're pretty well covered on there. Okay, that looks pretty good. Then I took that piece of tape and I lined it up with my 7/8 mark at the top of the paper. And then you want to press that down. And then I just took it back off. Then I took my Wisteria. Well, actually, I'm going to do the center color first so I don't get this on my arm. I'm going to take the Soft Sky, and I'm going to do the same exact thing with a piece of tape. Put it on the Soft Sky, and rub. This is such an easy technique, and it's really makes a beautiful card. And same thing you get into this one. Make sure it's pretty well inked up, and then line it with the 2-inch mark, the edge of the tape. And just make sure you have just about the same amount of white space showing. it back off. I did the same exact thing with my Wisteria Wonder. But this time, I'm going to turn the card the other way so that I can line it up with that mark again. A little bit more on there. I just want the bottom of this. Okay, that looks pretty good. Then you're going to go ahead and line this one once again with your mark, which is your 7/8 mark from the other side. Press. And then release the tape back off of the card. Now the Wisteria Wonder will lighten up a little bit for you. When you first put it on, it's pretty dark, but it's going to lighten. Now if you do not want to have the little teeny bit of white space in between there, then you will measure 1 inch down from each side and then just lay your tapes one on top of the other, and that will come out and give you a look more like this. Okay, so it's solid instead of like this. I personally like the little bit of white because when I laid the trees on there, it just gives the trees a little more dimension. Then what I did was I took my Lovely as a Tree stamp set, and I'm just going to do this really quickly. I'm not even going to put this on a stamp block. And what I did was I just laid that and I stamped where I wanted to put the stamp. I also had used on the bottom for the sentiment, I used Express Yourself stamp set, which is a hostess gift that you can get by spending $150. You can get it at a cheaper price. And after that, I had taken Early Espresso Twine, and I'm just going to take a blank card here. I took, what is this? So once it was stamped on here, I took Espresso. I let, maybe 4 inches off the end here. And then I wrapped 3 times around it, came across, and then I tied this in like in a bow at this point. And then I took the twine and spread out each piece of the twine. Let me just do it on this one because it's easier because it's already tied, so that they just cascade outward. And I covered up the seam on the card. What I did then is I popped my Whisper White onto my soft sky layer, and then I actually had glued, well, first I actually glued the sky blue onto the Early Espresso, and then I popped the Whisper White onto the soft sky. And that's it for the envelope. I used my envelope punch board. The directions for this are all on my blog at craftingcreativeideas.blogspot.com. The envelope was an 8x8 square that was made into an envelope, and the liner was cut at 4 1/4 and punched at 4 1/8 for the liner. Those directions once again are on my blog. So if you have a time to stop by and visit the blog, I'd appreciate it, and I'll see you on the next video. Until then, God bless.